Good morning. I'm Bob Fowler, the Director of Facilities at Eastside. And what I want to talk to you about today is how to retrofit a traditional fluorescent fixture that's a four bulb fixture, and what it takes to use ballast free LED bulbs. We choose a 5,000 Kelvin color, which seems to make everybody happy. It's a good bright color. And another thing that you get an additional rebate from the energy companies for, one, for using LED, but two, a second rebate because you've gone from a 4 bulb fixture to a 2 bulb fixture, and it's as brighter with a cleaner light. So, showing you what it's all about. We'll walk through it. Lots of ladder time. And you'll run into all different kinds of ballast covers. And lots of wiring. One of the things that you always remember when you're doing this is that all of your hot wires will come from one side and all of your neutral wires will come from the other. You can choose to remove the ballast or not to remove the ballast. I choose to remove them because it's easier to roll up the wires, and when you're putting your ballast cover back on, it's easier to work with. One thing you want to be sure and do is test. You have the 2 wires coming out of here, which the blue coming from the fixture here and the white, and you identify which one is hot and you test both. Right now we have the electricity turned off at the wall, just at the switch, and so I know that I'm dealing with a fixture that has no electricity in it right now. And then what you do is you reach up and you take down all of the wires where you can start to manage them. And we're going to do lots of cutting and stripping. Get everything down where you can work with it. Then you're going to take your strippers and you're going to use the cutting end to take down the wires. On all of them. We're going to remove ballast, so never again will we have to have ballast. And not only that, these LED bulbs will last a lot longer, and over the course of a year, by having all of these changed throughout the church, I hope that we can save definitely hundreds, if not thousands of dollars, probably thousands of dollars a year in energy cost. It's good to have ground support. Cindy is awesome ground support. That keeps you from running up and down the ladder, because you do hand certain things down and you're going to need things from time to time. The bulbs, as we begin to replace bulbs. Currently in our project, I think we've done over 300 of these fixtures with about 100 more to go in our children's wing, which is the first room that I'm doing now, and then we go to our preschool wing, and it would pretty much finish up our main building project. Just to give you an instance, and it would change per facility, but we'll be getting a $13,000 rebate for switching to all of these. There goes my pen. I'll show you why we need that in a minute, and again why we need ground support. Because if you have to run up and down these ladders, not only does it take longer, it's a lot more wear and tear on your legs and your back. So everything from this side is going to be my hot. And I will come over here and I will take the hot wires. There's currently 2 because there was a double ballast. Sometimes you run into a single ballast, you only have one, you only need one. And what I like to do is I like to do 2 of the blue and 1 of the yellow to one wire, 2 of the red and 1 of the yellow to the other wire. It just prevents me from having too many wires underneath one wire cap. I save my wire caps where I have wires that I don't need or links that are too long. And I'll try to make these roughly about the same size. Having a trash can handy also helps. Then you start with the stripping. And anywhere from 1/4 to 1/2 inch, if you'll strip those wires, is usually enough. We did run into some issues where we had older wiring, older fixtures, where the best I can figure is that the coating on it had fused to the wiring, and we had to take our pocket knives or a box opener razor blade and trim the coating off of the copper here. What was that, Cindy?
It was from the ballast cover,
Okay.
the little clip.
So all of these will be stripped. I like to use a pair of just regular old wire pliers. Like I said, I'll take a yellow and basically what I'm doing is I'm just running 3 wires, since I have 2 coming off the hot, so that way I don't have to put all 6 of these with a hot wire and a cap on them. I twist those up so that they stay nice and tight. When I go to put the caps on, the cap bites it real good and you get a firm connection that doesn't pull apart. I will tell you that this is a project where we have limited ourselves to only doing it for maybe 3 or 4 hours in the morning time, because keeping your head tilted back and your arms above your head gets to be a little rough at times when you do it for too long. Stripping the negative wires, the hot wires, electricity's turned off. Stripping those wires, taking a wire nut. This is barely going to fit. Otherwise, I would have to take a piece of wire that I've cut and make it longer, adding what I call a jumper into the equation. And this just goes to show you really need to do this up front, where you make sure you've taken as much slack out as you can. I'll put the cap on there. If I had a little more slack, I would use my wire pliers again and make that connection really solid. I still may have to. Twisting it on good and tight to where when you pull on it, it doesn't come out. And then the other side, and this side I will have to have jumper on. So I'm going to ask Cindy to go ahead and pause it for just a second. All right, so I got a piece of wire. My ground support Cindy got me a piece of wire. And we save our wires that we cut, maybe not all of them, but enough for this very purpose. And again, this is a jumper because my hot wire wasn't quite long enough to reach. Oh no, Cindy, this may be one of those we have to
Strip.
trim.
Mm.
And might as well go ahead and show you what we have to do. This is one of the wires I was talking to you about earlier where it just fused or something, where we just can't strip it. And so I take my pocket knife, and instead of using the strippers, I just trim it off with my knife. One of my partners in this project uses a box cutter, a razor blade. I think he did bring in his pocket knife. Not that hard, just takes a little bit longer. Again, just stripping off about the same amount. Okay, while she's still filming, I'm going to go ahead and grab, I normally would have in my cargo pockets a bunch of the wire caps.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't pick those up in preparation for this video. So I'll go ahead and put some in my pocket now. I'll put one size in one pocket and then another size, maybe a bigger size over here. And I will take this. This is my jumper wire. A small cap would be sufficient. Take your pliers. I like doing this again because I'll twist all these up when I get ready to put my ballast cover on, and that way I can have more confidence that it's going to hold when I twist them all up. And again, twist until it starts twisting those wires. Tug, make sure that it's supported really well. Again, this is still all just the negative, or excuse me, the hot side. All right, so everything that came out of this side is going to the hot wire. Just the hot wire, the positive. Now I move to this other side, and I don't have to have as long wires over here, obviously. I'll save my wire nuts. We already have extensions on them. And then I'll go ahead and I'll take these. I usually leave these on there a little bit longer just because it's easier for me to work with once I've trimmed all these down. So again, I'll use about the size because, see, that's how much slack I'm going to have when I make this cut. But I'll go ahead and cut those. I know I could have saved myself some time by using the already stripped in, but I like to have it a little more neat and tidy up here when I start to put the ballast cover back on. That's just personal preference. Sorry for the banging around. You gotta watch these as you pull them out sometimes. Just snap them back into place. If you ever pulled a wire loose, I did it again, Cindy.
We get it.
If you ever pulled a wire loose from back here where the sockets are, you just pop this cover off and you can mess with it without it being above your head. Just make sure the wires are all connected the way they were originally connected. ahead and get everything stripped so as I start to put them together, I don't have to be stripping them again. You'll learn pretty quick which notch on your stripper to use for what wires. I generally am using like the 3rd and 4th notches. All right, so again, I'll take my reds and my blues. Not that I have to, I just choose to. Just so I don't have to put as many wires underneath one cap. I could put all of those together, take those off where it's broken down to 2, and put them all to that single. I just feel a little bit more confident that by twisting these up like this, it's going to hold better. Especially when I start twisting up wires to put them underneath the ballast cover. And it doesn't take that much longer. Our project just in this building is about 700 to 800 bulbs. And when you start figuring 2 bulbs a fixture, that can tell you pretty quick, you know, how many times you're going to have to do this. We work with a team of 3. Myself and another gentleman will be on the ladders doing this, and then our ground support, like I said, is very, very helpful. There's a lot of ballast covers that you hand down. They don't just hang down like this one conveniently does. As a matter of fact, this is the first time we've run into this kind of ballast cover. This addition is a newer addition to the church. All right, so getting my neutral wires all hooked up. Twisting them on tight. I'm going to take these wires and twist them up to make it as easy as possible to get the ballast cover to fit up there real well. Take whatever slack I have, twist them up. All right, Cindy, if you'll pause it for just a second. Back to it. All right, we've got our bulbs. Now, one thing that's significant here is you have a side A bulb and a side B. B goes to neutral, A goes to positive. So your hot's going to be over here. Before you put the bulb in, you want to put your ballast cover up.
Oops.
This is where making sure your wires are neat and tidy will help you. So you get your ballast cover up, make sure all your wires are tucked back in. And then we have a sticker, and this is for future reference. It says, this luminaire has been modified to operate LED lamps. Do not attempt to install or operate fluorescent lamps in this luminaire. And what that is, it's just a reminder for future use. Don't put a fluorescent, use the LED bulbs. Without the ballast, the fluorescent aren't going to work. But we don't ever have to replace a ballast again. And this is where Cindy always hands me a sticker. Actually, she has already stickered our ballast covers. And I can't get it, Cindy.
Okay.
Here.
I'm gonna have to pause for a second.
All right, we good?
Yep.
All right, if you'll just stick this sticker up. Again, just for future reference. This is an LED fixture now. Also for future reference, just to make it easy on when these LED bulbs go out, and that should be a significant amount of time we put an A on the side where the A on the bulb goes. Because with that ballast cover on, it would be a guess. You could look at the other bulb, I guess, or just remember how you took them out. One thing I always do, there's a line on these bulbs right here. And if I keep that facing towards me, it keeps my pins where they'll slide in and out of the socket better. If you've ever done this, you know this can be one of the more aggravating parts of changing the bulb. Get the pins in, rotate that bulb away from you. Cindy had turned on the electricity, and this just confirms that we have wired it correctly. There's no chance of me getting shocked by just replacing the bulb. We wouldn't have turned that switch on had I still had wire work going on. So now, instead of 4 bulbs, we have 2 bulbs, very clean. And it should last the church a long, long time.
Hey.
Uh,
Turn
and
it up.
that's it.